Hi, everyone. Welcome. I can see a few people joining. We'll give it another minute or two before the rest of us can join in. In the meantime, and I'm actually going to use this as a little bit of a check to make sure you can hear us and that you can see our screen. So for those of you that can hear me and can see our screen, can you put your name and where you're joining us from? So your location on the chat. Maybe some of you, oh, there we go. We've actually got a few people that are joining in from our company. Thank you, Francisca. She's joining in from Uruguay. So I did see, thank you, Alex, joining us in from Vertex. We've got a few people from the US. I did see a lot of people joining in from different states in the US, so a couple of different time zones. So yeah, we also had we had somebody join in from Norway. So we have some people in Norway, some people in the US, somebody from Colombia as well. We have somebody in Paris. Oh, that's lovely. So yeah, we have lots of variety here. For some, it's late at night. Others, it's the middle of the afternoon. And for others, it's early in the morning. I hope you've got a coffee. So lots of variety. I think this also applies to the GA4 knowledge. So there's probably lots of variety that we have here today. Some of you might have quite an understanding. Others might have very little knowledge. And we're glad to have you on board since we're here to accommodate all levels with a Q&A session at the end. So let's get started, Cecilia. How about that? Oh, we have somebody from South Africa. Welcome. It's great to have you here. So we'll get started. This will be recorded. So for those of you that joined in late, you will be able to catch up with this afterwards. So let's first of all introduce ourselves. I'm going to introduce myself first. So I'm Pia. I am the growth account representative. There are some images of us in the next slide, Cecilia, if you want to show it. So I'm Pia, growth account representative here at Savannah Team. And today I'll be your host at the webinar. Let me introduce you to our wonderful speaker, though, Cecilia. She's the one who will talk you through the GA4. So some of you attending the webinar are clients of ours and have worked with her previously. So for those of you that don't know her, let me give you a proper introduction. Cecilia is our business intelligence lead at Savannah Team. For those of you that don't know Tavano, so Tavano Team is a leading award-winning e-commerce agency. So we focus on driving growth for companies that use NetSuite. So Cecilia has been working for several years on digital marketing. She focuses on data analysis, conversion optimization, data tracking, and so many others. So Cecilia has become a leading figure and works across so many verticals. So Cecilia, how are you today?
Hi, Pia, glad to be here, and thank you everyone for joining. Lots of exciting things to discuss today.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is actually a very good segue. So why are we here today? You know, the main reason is you might have seen in your Universal Analytics, there is a message, a banner actually, that is saying Universal Analytics is coming to an end in July 2023. As the webinar title says, Google is leaving UA behind in 2023, and so should you. So we're starting to feel a sense of necessity, and some of you might even start to feel a sense of urgency for this. And we're here because we have gathered information about what we know today about this, and we are solely here today to share that information with you and asking you to join in this conversation about Google Analytics 4. Now, I have some housekeeping on the webinar itself and how it's going to go today. We have people that are in the Zoom today, and we have people as well that are watching us on YouTube. Hello to you out there as well. Comments, thoughts, interactions, they're all welcome. Please keep those on the Zoom chat. And for the questions part, I would really like you to use the Q&A feature on Zoom so I can keep a track of these and we can answer these either throughout the webinar itself or at the end when we have the Q&A section. And for those on you in YouTube as well, feel free to include those there, as I will keep an eye out on the YouTube live chat. We do have a little surprise for you at the end, so you might want to stick around. It's not the setting and migration list that you get for attending this webinar. It's actually another surprise. And now I have 1 more minute of talking, so I need your attention. So I understand you might be at home or you might be in the office. I really recommend you switch off any notifications on your Slack, on your Microsoft Teams, on anything that might be interrupting your attention right now. We've got Cecilia, who has done a lot of research on this, and she's here to teach you. And you can really take advantage of this time to ask your questions. Like I said, you will get a recording of this, but the opportunity to ask the questions live will really come today, and we really want you to make the most of it. So with this in mind, I will hand it over to you, Cecilia.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pia. Thank you. Well, let's get started then. Well, thanks for joining again. We are going to be discussing a lot of things. Among the things that we will cover, the first one is what is GA4. We will be covering why Google changed to GA4 now. Also, what is new in this new version of Google Analytics, the feature updates, and basically we will get to understand how GA4 works. And we will be discussing along the webinar how GA4 will impact on your business. And finally, we will discuss the big question, and is if you should migrate to GA4 and what does that involve for you and your business. And we will wrap up with our Q&A sections, but of course, feel free to leave questions on the road as we may pick some of them to reply in the webinar. Also a reminder to stay with us until the end. There will be a free GA4 checklist delivered to you with the implementation checklist and all the setup and configuration to make sure you have everything you need to get started. That said, just to manage expectations after this webinar, you will be able to understand what GA4 is, have a broad knowledge of the key new features and how they can improve your business, and a clear idea of how your company should proceed in terms of implementation and data-related matters. Okay? I think now we are good to start with what is GA4. GA4 is the 4th iteration of Google Analytics. That's why it's called GA4. There is not much buzz about that. It was released on 2020, and it actually has been out there for a few years, but it's just that we were not forced to use it and to install it. Some of you may remember that it was called Web and App property, and lately it has been renamed to GA4. And a little history on this. The Google Analytics software was purchased by Google to a company called Urlich in 2005. And then in 2007, the Google Analytics names was adopted. And in 2012, Universal Analytics that we all know today and love was released. And now it was time for a change. And you may be asking why Google chose this precise time to change. And it's because the market is changing so fast, and so should the analytics tools that we are using. So the user has changed, how we are browsing and consuming the internet is changing. And also there are a lot of privacy updates, regulations like GDPR and CCPA. Overall, the users are demanding privacy and transparency on how the data is being collected, okay? And well, it's official. Universal Analytics is officially going out of market. A few months ago, Google announced the sunsetting of Google Analytics. So by July 2023, UA, all UA properties will stop to collect data. And this is like the big news and the thing that got us all alarmed, because that data is not going to be backed up automatically. I'm going to move to this slide. So what's going to happen? Data will still be collected as usual on your Universal Analytics property until July 2023. That is 1 year from now. And that data will be accessible for a period of at least 6 months after that, okay? And UA properties will eventually disappear from your analytics account. And this is all the data associated with Universal Analytics will be lost. So a backup of that data is very much needed if you still want to consult the data in the future, okay? So this said, let's do a quick poll before we begin with the actual content.
Sounds good, Cecilia. Let me post the poll over here so we can get to know our audience a little bit. So please submit your answers. Great, we're already having a few answers. So just to be clear with what you've said earlier, while we wait for our attendees to submit their answers. So just to be clear, you're saying after July 2023, for at least 6 months. So that means until December 2023, the data is available. Is that what Google is saying right now, or?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the official article that they released says that at least for 6 months, the data will be available for us to download and to consult. But there is like no official date on when Universal Analytics is going out of market. So maybe they extend that date a little bit, but yeah, we are looking for a Q3, Q4 sunsetting of UA. Yeah, but we have plenty of time, and it's great to have these instances to take a look at what's new. It's a big change in the market.
We do, and honestly, given some of the results our audience have shared with us today, we have majorities. So 56% are saying nada. I am having a deer in the headlight moment, to be honest. So there's going to have to be a lot of adaptation to this new way of working, a lot of groundwork to be done prior to the migration, to the moving of GA4, right? So aren't we glad a lot of people came to this webinar today? Majority are saying they don't know a lot. So fear not, because we have Cecilia here with us today.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's amazing to get to know where our attendees are standing. We definitely expected that most of you were not aware of the changes, but yeah, I mean, there is a lot to cover, so I'm going to try to go slow and be aware that we are not covering all things that are new in GA4 and all things that are changing. We are still learning as there are new things being released every week. So yeah, this is just the information we have so far, but there are being updates on a weekly basis.
I think we like 2 hours to cover all the things, probably longer.
Yeah, we don't want to get stuck here with us for 2 hours. Let's get started then. Okay, so what's new in GA4? We will be covering the new tracking methodology. This is the biggest change that GA4 is bringing, is on how we are tracking the data. Then we are going to be looking at the improved data security that has been a big topic lately, that, as I have mentioned previously. The more powerful reporting capabilities, and this is all from attribution of traffic channels, a better understanding of the user journey. There are a lot of new features that GA4 can help us in that regard. And finally, we will wrap up with the better event tracking, the enhanced event tracking that GA4 brings to the table. Okay, let's start with the new tracking methodology or new data model that GA4 has. And for this, we have this image. GA4 is migrating to an event-based tracking. So what does that mean? As you can see in the image, we have universal analytics that was very session-based, and GA4 is moving now to an event-based tracking. So in GA4, everything will be an event or is already an event, whereas in universal analytics, the user flow and how the user was perceived was by session. So within a session, you have multiple page views and multiple events firing in that session. Now in GA4, everything is an event, even a page view. All the custom events are also events, of course, but all is treated as events, which makes it much more easier to understand how the user is interacting with our website. And also this way of tracking makes GA4 more flexible and scalable for future updates. And also, Google is saying that is making this new version to work faster, to perform calculations faster. Honestly, I can tell you that is not already the case. There are like a lot of lags in the platform, but that is because, of course, they are still working on updates on that. Okay, but what are the implications for your business with this new data model? The first one is that your universal analytics data and GA4 data will not be one-to-one. There is an expected reduction in your overall amount of users. And this is because the user count on universal analytics tend to duplicate your users. This is because if one user came from a mobile device and then from a desktop device, that will count as two separate users in universal analytics, where now in GA4 they have the technology to match those two users, and we will GA4 is deduplicating those users. So there is a reduction, but it's a more realistic user count. So we're getting more accurate data on that regard. Okay. Then we have the session-based metrics that are going away. So a lot of metrics that we are used to in universal analytics, like bounce rate, time on site, or time on page, are going away on GA4. And we can say that they are being replaced with a new set of metrics that are more based on the user, as engagement rate, engaged sessions per user. So we are making the user the centerpiece of our analysis instead of the sessions. This is basically, moving to a user-centric measurement. That is this biggest change. The next point is that the historical universal analytics data needs to be downloaded, as it won't be able to migrate that data to GA4. Okay, and for downloading the data, Google is giving us 3 options for now. The first one and easiest one would be to download your data directly from the Universal Analytics interface. Just in the upper right corner, you may see like you have an option to download the reports that you want in CSV or PDF or wherever format you want. So that would be the easiest one. There is a more effective way of downloading that data. If you are familiar with the Google Sheets add-on for Google Analytics, that consumes the Google Analytics API. So you can get data in bulk. And so that would be our recommendation for download your Universal Analytics data. Okay. And if you are a GA360 user, you can also download it to BigQuery. That also it's faster and more effective, but yeah, I know that not many attendees here are using that version of Google Analytics. So finally, to wrap up this first point, we have the machine learning algorithms that are embedded in this new GA4 version. And machine learning means that your data will eventually get better with time, as it will be learning from your users' behavior, and it will make your data as accurate as possible. As you know, the privacy regulations are making the users can opt out for being tracked from a cookie banner or something like that. So machine learning algorithms are making sure to fill those gaps in order for us to still be able to gather insights from the information that we can get. Okay, so that's it for this section. Pia, I wanted to check if we have any questions so far.
We do actually, and I want to ask them now and not save them for later, so we can really focus on having this fresh of mind. There's so much more to come later. So the first question is to do with the whole UA. You know, you're talking about the engaged user, right? So what is the criteria for an engaged user in this element, with the fact that so many, session-based metrics are going away? And what is the criteria for an engaged user with this whole new tracking methodology?
Yeah, right. So, well, an engaged user would be any user that fire a conversion event. And if the user is also firing 2 or more screens or page views on the website, they will also be considered as an engaged user. And I think that is also a rule if the user is actively on your website for at least 10 seconds, I think. So yeah, that's sort of like the main criteria for Google to know if a user is engaged with your content. In Universal Analytics, the only criteria is if the user made a page, landed in a page and didn't perform any further action. That means if they left the website, that would be counted as a bounce rate. But now engagement rate brings more clarity and it's more, based on the user, and it's really easier to understand from a user perspective.
It's fascinating. I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves as well. And just to wrap up this section as well, so after I download, as you're saying here, there needs to be all this historical data that is downloaded from Universal Analytics. Can I automatically upload this into GA4 and have these merged? So just to be clear on that point for the attendees here today.
Yeah, so well, that won't be the case. You cannot import data into GA4. The only way to make like a historical report taking into account your previous data collected in Universal Analytics and also taking into account the new data from GA4 would be like very manual via just merging the two data sets into an Excel or Google Sheets. Or there is also a possibility to import the UA data into a data warehouse like BigQuery, and also combine it with GA4 that actually has a default integration with BigQuery. So that will also be a possibility.
Great, thank you, Sissy. Let's press ahead with the next section as we've got quite a bit to cover today.
Yeah, okay, let's go with the improved data security. There has been a lot of debates around this in the last year within if Google Analytics is still legal, just because all the information that is gathering from the users and these policies of GDPR and CCPR are really concerning regarding the user data privacy. And one thing I want to make clear in this point is that Universal Analytics is shutting down, and there is a high chance that that is for privacy reasons. So we have to make sure this is probably like a big part on why they decided to shut down the previous version. Okay, so the first thing that is coming in GA4 is the IP anonymization. So the IP is anonymized by default in GA4. This is essentially used to get the country and the location of the user. And the thing is that in Universal Analytics, you could get to see that IP pretty easy. And now it's anonymized by default. So it's much more compliant with all these new regulations. Then we have the data retention period that this I want you to pay attention on this, because this will impact as well on your business, because now Google Analytics is giving you the option to choose for how much time you want to retain the user data. I mean, that means the raw data that is coming into your property, and you can choose between 2 and 14 months of data retention. So that means that the raw data will only be stored for a cap of 14 months in GA4. And after those 14 months, that data won't be there. So you will need to store the data in some data warehouse like BigQuery. I mean, Google Analytics is really encouraging us to use BigQuery with this free integration and everything, because basically they want to move from a side and decide the Google Analytics property owners to decide if they want to keep the data from the users and how much data they want to keep. So yeah, I mean, our recommendation, of course, is for you to set the storage timelines to the maximum, which right now is 14 months. And if the analysis that you usually do look back for a period longer than 14 months, start learning these new technologies to make sure to have the data backed up. Okay. Lastly, we have the consent mode. That this consent mode is set up through the GA tags. And is actually still in beta mode, but basically if the users are opting out of being tracked on your site, Google will still be able to get some basic data from them to model that data with machine learning technology, so we can still get insights from the data. Okay. So Pia, how are we going so far?
With this one, we are good. We do have a question. I'm going to save that one for the end. It's a very good question, Doug. So thank you for that. So what I'm understanding from this section is essentially, as you mentioned at the beginning, the market is moving in a way that, you know, users want more privacy. We need to be able to control the data that we want to give Google and marketers, you know, in general. And it's not that Google are lawyers, but Google are going to make sure that at least they're compliant. So Google Analytics 4 is moving towards the direction that we can rely on them to be compliant, and we can at least execute marketing strategies and anything that we need to in a safe way. So it was something that the market needed, that users also need. So that's what I gathered from this section. There's a lot more stuff into it. Like we said, we can't cover everything in detail. So of course, let's go ahead, Ceci.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so we have more powerful reporting capabilities on GA4 as well. First of all, we have cross-device and cross-platform tracking. As I was saying before, GA4 can now deduplicate users across data from different devices and different traffic sources. So we will get a more accurate user count on that. And there will be like a single user journey across devices. And for this, Google is taking into account users that are already signed up to their Google account and browsing internet via different devices. And also, if we are collecting on your site the user identifier, for example, the client ID or something like that, that data will also be used to match the user if the user is using different devices. Then we have audiences. There has been a huge improvement in audiences. This is what in Universal Analytics was called segments. So we can think of audiences like membership groups now on GA4. We can set criteria for these audiences and fire events if the user is joining a specific audience that match a specific criteria. We can also set conversions for the audiences, export these audiences to Google platforms like Google Ads in order to be used to improve your marketing campaigns. And there is also a very cool feature in Google Analytics 4 that uses predictive analysis and predictive audiences using machine learning, for example, of users that are likely to convert or to make a purchase in the next 7 days. And you can also use that audience for your marketing campaigns. So that's an exciting one. In Google Analytics 4, we have conversions now. There are no longer goals that we were used to in Universal Analytics. And also, you may remember that in Universal Analytics, we have a cap of 20 conversions. In GA4, we can track as many as we want, because as I said in the beginning, everything is an event in GA4. And it's just a matter of making a switch if we want that event to be tracked as a conversion or just as an event. We have a new section that is the Explore section. This section actually in Universal Analytics was reserved for the 360 version, so the paid version of Universal Analytics, and now is available for everyone. And it's a more powerful reporting section. It lets you build funnels in a more interactive way, and it's easier to get insights for that. You might know the struggle of building a funnel in Universal Analytics. We have a limited amount of stages of the funnel. Now I think there is no limit in the amount of the steps of the funnel we want to create. There are new cool reports like anomaly detection and also user pathing, so we can get some better understanding on how the user is flowing through our website and where they are leaving our website, so we can make improvements on that. Well, and finally, I already spoiled this, but there is this BigQuery integration that is for free. And BigQuery is a data warehouse of Google, of course. And this integration will let you own your user data and all the data that is collected by GA4. It also has the benefit that you will be collecting your raw data, so it will be unsampled. In Universal Analytics, we have a lot of issues with sampling of the data because there was so much data, and sometimes the reports cannot process that data accurately. And yeah, BigQuery lets you query your data in any way you want and combine it with other sources. Okay, so that's also very exciting. Okay, Pia, how are we going so far? Any comments from the audience?
No, we're good as well, and we're good with time. I am very cautious of the next part, which I think is going to be quite a good one as well. So Alex, thank you I did see your question come in. So it is BigQuery. It was coming up on this slide, which was why I was waiting for Cecilia to mention it. I guess just in order to clarify, what is the BigQuery integration pricing looking like? I know you said it's free when it comes to being on Google, but what's the BigQuery pricing like in general?
Yeah, okay, so yeah, so as I said, the integration itself with GA4 is for free, but BigQuery has pricing regarding the data storage, and also it has a cost per operation. So each query that you perform has a cost depending of how many, let's say, bytes of data it is consuming. But it's very affordable. I mean, it depends on how much data you have stored there, but it's very affordable. And yeah, it's a new word, and we are also getting used to it. Yeah, I mean, Tabana will be happy to help you on that regard as well.
Great. I think that's all we have for this. I think we're good to move to the next section. That way we can save some time for the rest of the Q&A.
Yeah, great. Okay, let's move to the last one, that is better event tracking. And for this one, well, we have a new feature in GA4 in the setting that is enhanced measurements. So lots of events are automatically tracked. The downside of this is that it's not working very well for single page application sites like Suite Commerce sites, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a feature that is out there. So yeah, if you're using any other e-commerce platform, it probably will work a lot better. But yeah, I mean, the thing with this is also that GA4 allows us more flexibility to create custom events. And yeah, this is actually what we are doing with our implementations for Suite Commerce. I'm going to show you here the next image that kinds of wraps up what we started in this webinar with. That is how data was collected in Universal Analytics and how data is collected on GA4 now. You can see Universal Analytics is more session centric. We have the user with multiple sessions starting, and each session has its own page views and events. And in Universal Analytics, the user is the center. The user may have multiple properties, such as the client ID or other properties that we want to associate with him. And everything is an event, and we can set unlimited parameters for each event. Whereas in Universal Analytics, the events had this weird nomenclature and categories that we have to fill, and sometimes it didn't even make sense, like a category, label, action. Now it's much more flexible. Pia, I know that you love this image.
I have to say, I have to interrupt you right here, because I don't think an image speak 1,000 words. And in this case, you've got on your left Universal Analytics, where you can really see the session-centric universe we were in, right? You have the user, and then you've got all this data that it's filtered out, and it's almost a manual work of us having to try and combine this all together. Whereas on the right-hand side, you've got this step forward that Google Analytics 4 is doing, where it's user-centric, all these words that Cecilia has been saying. And even further, right, with cross-platform checking that you mentioned. If a user is coming in from the mobile, and then it's going to the e-commerce, it should all be under one user. And then you can see all of this information that is going to live under an umbrella of one user. And to me, that is fascinating. I can't get over it that it's all going to live under one specific person. And the user journey that we're going to get to see, compared to having to piece together something that is coming from Facebook or from a mobile and having all the different siloed reporting. And you've got all of this in one image that is user living all together. To me, this image is fascinating. And I don't know about the other people attending today, but to me, this image speaks 1,000 words in where we're going with this analytics. So
yeah, for sure.
My excitement here and enthusiasm for this.
Yeah, and we get to fully customize your tracking, and your tracking plan will be really enhanced by this new data model. The downside of GA4 is that it will need much planification in that sense. But yeah, it's definitely the biggest change, and very exciting for me at least. Well, let's move on to go to the Q&A section, that I want to leave some room for that. Should you migrate to GA4? Well, as you may have guessed, it's not if, it is when, because Universal Analytics is going out of market. So the good thing is that GA4 is yet to be full rolled out. So we have a year from now to do that migration. There is no need to rush. I mean, Tabano is here also to help you through that implementation. The recommendation of Google is to run GA4 and Universal Analytics in parallel. And for the time being, it's still recommended to do your reporting using Universal Analytics data, because GA4 is having some bugs and some delays that is not really out there to be fully used. Just keep in mind this thing that Universal Analytics data won't get migrated to GA4. So a backup will be needed. And I'm saying this because all the release notes out there are saying GA4 migration and how to migrate to GA4, but it's not like a migration per se, because the data will be lost. And well, Universal Analytics is sunsetting, so we encourage you to start planning your GA4 implementation. A brief note on how we are doing this at Tabana team. We are managing this as an implementation project for SweetCommerce sites. We get to implement all the GA4 recommended e-commerce events on your site, and also to review your existing custom events that you may have on Universal Analytics, to also migrate those events to the new GA4 property for you to don't lose any of that data. Okay. Okay, I think that with this, I can conclude the webinar presentation. So hands over to you, Pia.
Thank you, Cecilia. So this concludes the webinar presentation part from Cecilia today. So please check your inbox after we finish the webinar itself, so you can get this checklist with the setting and the migration stuff that you need to do as a thank you for joining us today. And now, before we do the Q&A though, just as a quick, let's get to know our audience again. Based on what you've heard so far and hopefully understood, it's a lot of information to digest. Let's do another poll, and let's get your thoughts as to which of these features are you most excited about. There's no right or wrong answer. I mean, different priorities. I mean, Cecilia, which one are you most excited about, for example?
Yeah, well, we have the events event-based tracking methodology that we just spoke. I think that is the thing that got me most excited.
I knew you would answer that one. I mean, it speaks truly of your area, your expertise, right? Event-based tracking methodology for you is golden territory. I know.
Yeah, it's getting much easier to do not the implementations, but it's let us be more creative and play more around with how things are tracked. But yeah, I think that these are all great things to be excited about. I've seen the users, the attendees are excited to understand better about the user journey.
Well, see, I'm with the crowd over here. So let's conclude it here. I think majority has voted. I'm with the crowd today. Better understanding of the user journey for me. To me, that's going to be fantastic. You know, it's better understanding of user journey, how to make decisions. I know this is going to come from better event-based, tracking methodology. I see the other side, right? So
yeah,
I mean, these are all a great stepping stone. And I'm so glad that Google is listening and it's moving with the pace that we need to. And adapting is going to be it's going to take some time. And there might be some questions from people out there. So let's do some Q&As. So we did get a few questions. So the main one that you just touched on, but I just want to clarify it, is if we switch over to GA4 before the deadline, there's a way to run both UA and GA4 to have some of the analytics that overlap to see how these match up or don't match up between the two methods, right? So the idea is to have the two of them run together.
Yeah, as I said at the end of the presentation, the recommendation is actually to run both of them in parallel. You will note discrepancies because, as I said, the data model and the tracking methodology is different for both versions. So yeah, I mean, the recommendation is definitely to run both in parallel, and it won't create any tracking issues at all.
Yeah, right, exactly. And in terms of just with this new way of tracking, will you have to, so now you've downloaded your universal analytics data, you're in GA4 already. With this new way of tracking, am I going to have to create more custom events in order to track the same things I did in universal analytics, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of custom events, it depends on how much data you want to collect from your users and how they are interacting with your website. The implementation that we are doing in Savannah is for e-commerce sites. So we are making sure that all the standard e-commerce events are tracked properly. And we got some new enhanced events, because as we told you before, we have no limit on the parameter, that we can attach to an event. So, for example, an add to cart can be more enhanced with other data. We can have a shipping information event, a payment information event. So we can have a more granular understanding on how the user is completing micro events throughout their journey.
Okay. And we've had a few more that have just come in. So is BigQuery required for GA4?
No, it's not required at all. I mean, it is said that GA4 is actually a lead magnet to BigQuery, because that is where the money is for Google. But yeah, I mean, it's not required at all. And you may also like download the data in other ways from other vendors probably, and for sure a lot of new tools will come for that. But yeah, BigQuery is the thing that Google is pushing for.
Absolutely makes sense. Now going back to this universal analytics data, so the historical data and this new data. This probably ties in, and we're going to mention BigQuery again, but does Google provide a solution or a tool that allows the new and the historical data to work seamlessly?
Well, as I said, there is not like Google tool itself. You will have to do that matching outside the platforms. Yeah. For now, I mean, of course, they may come up with some tool. But most probably they will, but for now, we don't have any information regarding that.
Yeah, and we've got a great question here from Peter, and I think it's probably a difficult one to answer at this stage. But will GA4 affect the website speed?
Well, that's a good one. I don't think so, because actually it might, I mean, the way it is running, it's mostly the same as Universal Analytics in terms that I mean, I'm talking for SuiteCommerce sites here, but yeah, it's reading the data layer events. So that is running like in a piece of JavaScript code of the website. So it's not affecting the speed itself. I mean, the events are still triggering, and we have the data there to consume from Universal Analytics or from GA4. So it shouldn't affect the website speed now.
Absolutely. Okay. Makes sense, Cecilia. Thank you. And for the next questions that I'm going to ask, should we tell them the surprise?
Well, yeah.
So the surprise we had was, we're going to take you to the GA4 user interface itself. Are you ready to see it? I hear all of you getting very excited. Yes, I see some clapping. Thank you. So the surprise that was planned, not so planned, we're going to actually take you to the user interface. So the first thing we're going to show you is, how do I know if I have GA4 installed in my account, Cecilia?
Okay, so let's go quickly through this. This is the previous version, Universal Analytics. And if you go here to the section here of the sorry, yeah, you have here right in the right side of the analytics logo, you have all the accounts that you have access to, the properties of that account.
Yes.
Well, and also the views. Here in the properties is where your Universal Analytics account property will be, along with a GA4 property if you have one. You will note that the UA property starts with UA, and GA4 properties don't have any specific code. So if you're seeing one property that does not have UA at the beginning, that is probably a GA4 account. And also you will note that the interface is a lot different. Here I am in the version we already know. And in GA4 is more minimalistic, if you can say that. So we have fewer things here in the left menu, and it's looking really great. Oh, sorry.
It definitely has a fresh element to it.
Yeah, it definitely has. So those would be like the main ways to know that if you have it installed.
Thank you, Ceci. How about we give our attendees here today what a macro view looks like. So let's see what the data looks in terms of what reporting is for the users in general. And then let's look specifically at one user. So let's look at the micro level as to what one specific user is being reported on. So let's look at this user, this user-centric event that we've been talking about so much today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's have like a brief overview on GA4. We have the homepage with just the overview of the users and total revenue coming in, users in last 30 minutes. You will have an insights section as well with out-of-the-box insights. Also, Google has improved this a lot, detecting anomalies within your data. Then we have the reports section that has been narrowed down a lot. You might remember in Universal Analytics, we have a lot of reports, like a lot in each section. And now we only have these ones divided in acquisition, engagement, and monetization. So yeah, it's more brief information, but it's definitely getting to the point. If you want to get more insightful data or specific data, you will need to go to the Explore section, where you can create your reports from scratch. You can have free forms, also funnel exploration that I was telling you. Oh, sorry. Funnel exploration, path explorations to see what your users are dropping, segments overlap, cohorts. So a lot of fun stuff to play around. Then
are these the funnels you mentioned during the data on demand, and even this is
that's right.
Marketing
team. Here is where you will create your funnels, and you can choose which events you want to put on your funnel exploration. It is honestly much more easier to create this in GA4 than it was in Universal Analytics.
And you can make events conversion, right? Conversion based.
Yeah, I'm going to show you that. That would be from here, from the configuration mode. Here we have all the events that are coming in to the account, where this is the demo account of Google, so I don't have like admin accesses, but these are all the events that are coming. And here in the column marked as conversion, I will have a switch here if I want to make this event, for example, a conversion. So yeah, it's as easy as that. The events are coming by default once you implemented that on the site. And so just by switching that, it will be marked as a conversion. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to show you a really cool feature that GA4 has, and is regarding the real-time report that got really improved.
Ceci, I am conscious of time, so
yeah,
this report real quick and this view, and then
if there are not further questions.
Yeah, we have no further questions from the audience so far, so we can show this bit and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. Of course. Okay, so just real quick, this new real-time report is looking really great. We have where the users are coming from, and also here we have the user snapshot, and we can get to look at a random user and the events that they are performing in real time, sort of like a sneak peek. Let's see if we have some user. Okay, so here we have someone from Brazil that is doing its first visit, getting into a page view, scrolling down the page, engaging with the page. So we can get to see this information on a user level, which is really great also for debugging all our events. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you, basically.
No wonder we needed our IP anonymized. I feel very seen right now.
Yeah, fortunately we can't, I mean, Google still can't track, I mean, it's against their regulations to track name and personal identifiable information.
Of course. But yeah, Ceci, I can't thank you enough for your time and the research you've put behind this. So I want to say a big thank you. I think we've got a thank you slide next.
Yeah.
And not only a big thank you to the attendees here today, a thank you to you. Cecilia and I also want to thank the team who have helped us put this together and have organized. There's a big team that is behind all of the organization for this as well. So thank you, everyone. We wish you a lovely rest of day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and yeah, hope you liked it, and we hope to get in touch soon with you.
Get in touch with us. We'll be in touch for those that showed interest in implementation. And